I got told once that you can't get pregnant if you're having sex standing up.
Using Coca-Cola as a lubricant.
You can't get pregnant if you whip it out before you ejaculate.
Thinking that, like, during sex, the testicle would roll into the woman and that would hatch as a baby, as if it was some kind of egg.
If you come in like a swimming pool or something, you could get pregnant through stuff like that.
And they say it in all complete seriousness, and it's just like, no, that's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
There are many myths and misconceptions around the issue of sex. There's a chance to set pupils straight in sex and relationship education classes, but teaching it can be a daunting prospect. In this programme, you'll hear how Kings Manor Community College in West Sussex is tackling sex and relationship education. Claire Barr is an AST in citizenship at the school and responsible for SRE policy. Along with her colleagues, she has some hints, tips and advice about teaching the subject. Her pupils also get a chance to have their say about what sex and relationship education means to them and what it is they really need to know.
We need everything we can get to be prepared for what's going to happen now, in the future. Every bit of information we can get that can aid us and help us through our sexual experiences is going to help.
The staff at Kings Manor are particularly keen on the benefits of training.
It's essential teachers have training, otherwise if you're scared or you're nervous, the students will pick up on that. Once they pick up on that, they'll start pushing the boundaries, asking questions they know they really ought not to, and it can quickly deteriorate. If you're confident, you're very comfortable with what you're doing, they will respect that and they will then work with you. Now for our young people,
Claire has regular refresher sessions for colleagues who teach SRE at the school.
Crucial bit, because putting it on inside out is one of the biggest mistakes people make.
Feeling confident with what you're doing.
Yeah, I suppose that's what makes me feel relaxed around the subject, is to be confident, to know that you've got backup. You're actually speaking from
the same thing. And you can ask.
And the chance to practice the practicals, you know, so that your first time you do it isn't in front of you.
Isn't like, oh my God, am I going to do this right now? And you do, to be honest, you do for the film.
Because
you might feel that,
like
but you've got to make.
You've got to go like, oh yeah, and inside you're going like, oh my God. I actually had a little pointer. I stuck to the tape. I don't even think the kids noticed. Like, do one, do this. Remind them about this. Yeah, it's like.
So you do feel nervous, but you just
otherwise
cover
you forget stuff as well. Because you've got so many things, especially when you're doing the condom practical we just did. So many things to remember to tell them. That.
So do you want to put a bit of lube on your fingers?
Okay.
And you're both going to rub it into the condom as hard and as fast as you can, and see who can burst their condom the quickest. Whoa! Okay, right. At the end of the day, teachers are just people, and as a nation, Britons, we don't like talking about sex too much. So teachers reflect that and don't think that maybe they're going to be asked about their own personal experience, which may be things that they feel embarrassed to talk about. And there is a bit of a kind of myth.
There is an element of, you're worried about them telling you things you don't want to know and asking you things you don't really want to say. And you need training in avoiding those situations and heading them off before they arrive. When they say, "Oh, and how was it when you used a condom, Miss?" I'm not answering that one. I made the mistake of saying to them, "Let's write all the words we can think of to do with sex on the board."
Oh no, God.
Oh yes.
Is that when you found out about Spanish kiss?
No, that wasn't. And it's when the kid put the hand up and said the C word.
C word, yeah.
And I was like, oh bugger, how do I deal with that? That was. I had to leave the room. I mean, we were told to do that, but nobody mentioned about the fact that there are certain words they might bring up. The fallout that might come in. I got complained about because a kid went home and told their mum that I'd written this C word on the board. Yeah. I did do C star T, but they still complained. It's the last time I did that.
Right, lots of people think that they're allergic to latex. It's not the latex, it's the spermicide. Many teachers are apprehensive and can be quite scared, but hopefully once they've had the training, they feel more confident. And some teachers even come back after the training to practice and to get used to handling some of the equipment that we use, or come back and ask questions so that when they do come to teach it, they feel confident and they feel comfortable, and then they can teach the lessons in a fun and interactive way. Bizarre questions that I've had only in the last week is it safer to wear 2 condoms or 3 or 4?
Injecting fun into SRE lessons is seen as a vital element for success.
you know, lots of students are involved. All of them are involved and engaged in the activities that are going on. They look forward to lessons. I know that because they rush here from the lesson before, and you know that those that want to can stay behind and ask questions that they don't want to ask in front of the group.
You can have some really good discussions.
Mine was clamouring for it because I went over holidays and everybody else in the year group had done it. Except me and one other group or something.
We're doing it.
Miss, when is it? When is it? Yeah, they really wanted to know. They really did.
They knew, in my year 11, they knew what we were doing, and they were running this upstairs. It's so funny because normally they're late.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, calm down, it's not really that exciting, boys. But we're doing sex. Yeah. No practicals today, boys.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, I was going to say that's the joke you get every time, isn't it? Yeah.
We looked at how
The SRE policy at King's Manor has incorporated the opinions of parents, teachers and governors, but it's also heavily pupil-led. So what do they feel about the lessons? Are they getting what they need?
I could honestly say I wouldn't know a lot of stuff were it not for the PSE lessons that I've been able to sit through. So much we've been taught about, like in detail, stages of relationships, although like you learn them throughout life, just to go into them in more detail, you become a lot more aware of everything that takes place through a relationship and sexual life.
Yeah, people think, oh, that's just like a lesson, you don't do anything, but I think we really have learned something.
Definitely makes you more aware.
When I first found out that we were doing these lessons, I was like, oh, I know it all, I don't need to go to these lessons. And then I realised that no, I don't know it all and I do need to learn more about it.
There's so much more than just the sex. There's the consequences of not using contraceptives and all stuff like that.
The open, carefree, relaxed attitude that is taken is a really nice and carefree way of learning about it without feeling awkward or giggly and uncomfortable.
And we don't just like sit and it's told to us, we can talk about it and everything, so it's more open and easy to talk about.
And it's easier to learn because it's like more like practical and hands-on than sort of like just talk, and you learn a lot more by doing it that way than any other way.
If you were to read something, you wouldn't pick it up as much, but because we're all talking and we're all getting interested and we're all putting our points across, we learn a lot more.
In our classes we sit in a circle, so you can see everyone, so you can talk to anyone, like with not having to you can just see everyone in the circle, so it's easier to have a conversation. And it's very like open, so you can talk about anything and you don't feel embarrassed.
Yeah, but we're not exactly revealing anything about ourselves.
Yeah, personal stuff.
No,
we're just learning what all the other classes.
Yeah, they don't say like pick on someone and say, so have you had sex now? They don't do that because that's just obviously out of order.
Whatever's said in that class, we just keep in the class. Don't really repeat anything, so we can talk about anything and feel confidently that no one's going to go and talk about it to anyone else, to their mates.
My parents are happy about it because they think that we should all know about what it is, and they regret not knowing what it was like and not knowing the facts. So it's good that we know what's going on.
I think my dad's quite happy that he doesn't have to sit down and have the chats. That's embarrassing because my mum lives in Sweden. I have my chats with her and he's quite, okay, so school can tell you, and if you want to talk, I'm here, but okay.
For me, I like the relationship that it builds with your tutor group. As much as you could have an expert, a nurse or whatever for sex ed, it is nice for them to have someone that that's right, that's where I was heading.
You need a mixture of the two in a way, don't you? The factual person coming in with the details and then the relationship you have with the kids.
Because it's a relationship thing, isn't it? It's not a medical thing.
There'll be much more...
They'll ask questions, won't they? And if they know, and sometimes some people aren't happy to ask you things in the class. I had a lad last week staying behind to ask me a question because he didn't want to ask it in front of the rest of the class, and it's because I know him and he knows me, and you know, and he was okay with asking me. Whereas if it was perhaps a nurse or someone they didn't necessarily know, or they wouldn't have that relationship.
Well, I must say there might be some questions where I would say, "Oh, you should be talking to the nurse now."
That's okay.
But at least you brought them through to it.
I think they feel that they can actually ask you as well, because when you have somebody to come in, I think they feel that they've got to sit there and just listen.
Yeah.
Because the amount of times you've then said any questions and it's been like a tumbleweed moment.
Definitely brings you closer to the teacher because you're talking about such personal issues, and you build up a level of trust, and I can honestly say on one if not more occasions I have gone to my PSE teacher because I know I can trust her and because I feel closer to her than I do most other teachers to help me.
I think the way it's taught, you don't have to say anything you don't want to, but if you feel you want to say something you can, and it's all open and you're close to the teacher, so you don't mind saying things even if it is a bit embarrassing, but it doesn't matter.
It's quite
don't know, like an intimate subject, so I would feel really uncomfortable some teachers teaching me PSE, so I'm glad that we got a teacher that we do have. So.
Do the pupils think SRE is relevant to their lives?
And I don't think the lesson would put you off or encourage you in any way, but it would definitely encourage you to be more, to think more about it and use contraception, definitely.
If anything, I think it would put it off till later, because it doesn't just talk about sex, about feelings and emotions as well that go with it, and it's not a big rush, and they help you like understand that. So.
And a lot more teenage pregnancies and a lot more STIs going around. You'd find a lot more teenagers would probably get pregnant because they haven't had the full teaching.
They don't promote it in any way. No. They're just like, yeah, we don't want you to go out and have sex and that, but if you do, we want you to take these contraceptions, stuff like that. Just
take caution and stuff,
yeah.
And make sure you know what you're doing.
If you do it safely.
Even if it's not useful for you now, sometime in life it will be useful, so the lessons do help or will help in the future.
And you probably get much more information like these lessons than most other lessons.
Yeah, a lot of people would say PSC, that's not relevant at all at school, and then you think, well, yeah, because half of it is learning about life and pregnancy, because kids is like will be, if you want kids, a lot of your life, and then you want to learn about that stuff. It's not just maths and stuff.
You can't say that sexual information is useful to someone that isn't sexually active because they can't put what they've learned into practice, but eventually everyone will, so eventually it will all become useful, and it's always useful to know the dangers so you can take the precautions.
Other than career-wise, it's like the most useful, really.
Yeah. It doesn't just prepare you for an exam, it prepares you for life, which is really good.
I like that, that was good.
Don't give out any of your demonstration tools until you've finished your initial demonstration, because they won't be listening to you, they'll be playing with the toys.
Before you start doing any kind of sex education stuff, start with a list of ground rules, what the kids want, what you want, so like no personal history, no personal stories, that nobody's going to laugh or take the mickey about somebody else, so that it's a safe atmosphere so everyone can get together and talk and have fun and actually learn lots of stuff.
Do make it active, and the students are participating in the activities that are going on. It's not just about a teacher giving lots of facts.
Yes, the words, and you can bet your bottom dollar as soon as you say the word penis, half your class are going to fall around laughing. So once you've got the ground rules out of the way, the next thing you need to do is really get the words out of the way and get the kids' embarrassment out of the way.
Do make it as fun as possible by relaxing and enjoying it.
Saying I don't know isn't a problem at all. You can use a little trick like you can get the kids to write down questions and put them in boxes and say we'll deal with those next week, or you can simply say I don't know and I'll find out for you and get back to you.
Do make sure that you feel confident with what you're doing, and if you don't, get the advice and help that you need.
Training is very important so that you know exactly what you're doing, you know all the sort of latest information or facts, because you are giving across factual information quite a lot of the time. It needs to be regularly updated and topped up so that you feel confident that you know exactly what you're doing, and you should ask for it if you're not being given it.
Don't presume that the students know a lot about sex and relationships education, as often they don't.
Well, sex ed is about relationships, it's not about having sex, and I think it's important that you stress the fact that it's about relationships and about how people show they love each other.